welcome to the first episode of the Becoming Women podcast with me, your host, Ella Sims, where each episode I speak with inspiring women about their teenage years. If this is your first time listening, a very warm welcome to you. My mission with this podcast is to support teenage girls as they navigate the ups and downs of growing up. In each episode, I talk with grown women about their individual journeys as teenagers, the highs and lows, any challenges they may have faced, and what advice they would share with their younger self to help reassure you that you are not alone and those tricky teenage years will pass. On today's episode, I'm with Holly Penalver, founder and CEO of Indigo Volunteers. Indigo is a fee-free organisation helping to place volunteers on refugee or community projects around the world. Before starting Indigo, Holly studied psychology and worked as a full-time paediatric nurse. She is currently based on the Greek island Samos, and I was very fortunate in being able to catch up with her on a recent visit back home in the UK. On today's episode of Becoming Women, I have the wonderful Holly.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast as well. And I started Indigo, so that's what I'm doing full-time at the moment. Yeah. Living in Samos on the Greek island, where it's the current or latest hotspot for refugees and migrants. So that's where I'm at the moment.
Good place to be.
Yeah, it's a really interesting place to work, definitely, very interesting. And I can't believe how I've ended up here. 10 years ago we were speaking where we'd be now. This is absolutely not where I would think.
No, I know, and I think during that time I'd been in touch with you, and we were talking just now about how I ended up doing this. What would you like to talk about in terms of sort of your childhood and your early background and years? Is there anything that you think young girls today would like to hear about?
Yeah, I think so. Where to start? I think so. For me, it might be interesting just to give some context and then where I am today, and hopefully that might help inspire some people or get people's brains thinking, okay, I can do this. That's a lovely opportunity to have. So I grew up in a place in Essex, in a seaside town called Clacton, and it's a bit of an interesting place. It's a completely diverse range of people living there, and so that I was exposed to a complete range of people and behaviours and attitudes and everything. And when my mum and dad were together, we had, for the first 3 years of my life, we had this lovely house and a great lifestyle, I suppose. And then my mum and dad didn't get on very well, so then they split up, and I moved. This one, I moved to Clacton, and I suppose like most schools, I think people complain about their schools. That's really normal, but in particular, I really definitely felt that there was a limited. There were limited opportunities for sports, definitely, which I love to do, and there was really not much at that time I was there. There wasn't many sports activities after school. And I remember having to try and start these things and initiate teachers, hey, can you stay after school and put on a club, because that would be great. And there wasn't much opportunity for girls in particular. Actually,
I was going to ask, was it more just girls' sports, and they were doing football and everything for the guys?
That was basically it. And I was really upset enough to speak to teachers to try and change it. It had some impact, but not really. And then, so I suppose I found that a bit of that was an eye-opener, but I didn't realise how significant that was at the time, that women and men had different opportunities. I suppose when you're just experiencing it and you're that age, you're not thinking that far ahead. And then I lived with my mum, and she had 3 children, including me. I was the youngest. And we struggled, I think, financially. We got very up and down. I definitely recall there being times where my mum was struggling to really put food on the table and buy us school uniform. And then there were times when it was absolutely fine. And there were no issues whatsoever. So for me, it's really good to have experienced both sides and being so appreciative of a school uniform, and definitely lasted with me. And then we also fostered since I was 11, we fostered teenage children as well. So I've always grown up with
An extended family.
An extended family is a great way of putting it. Yeah, definitely. And some lasted were with us for like 6 months, and some, I think the longest we had was like 4.5 years, and they really become part of your family.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that was also really, it makes you really appreciate things. And I think that was, I suppose, a common theme is I've always been exposed to situations where you can then learned how to appreciate these things.
And to be welcoming of anyone.
Absolutely. And also there were some challenging times. So I suppose my mum remarried, and he wasn't a very nice man. He was quite a violent man and things. So also experiencing that side of things.
Okay.
But also looking back, I would absolutely not say that my childhood was... I think I had a great childhood. Yeah. There was some real challenges and terrible times throughout all these events happening. But also when looking back, I still think I have so many good memories. And I think the one thing that shines through is having a role model like my mum, which I think is how I've got to where I am today as well. Seeing such a strong woman has completely impacted my life positively and led to where I am today.
Yeah. And during that time, did you, if there was sort of, I guess it's almost like peaks and troughs of where things were good, and then something may happen, it might be a bit more challenging. How did you deal with those things? Because I know you was quite a bubbly and confident person. So were you like that then, or has that been...
No, I think I have always been. I think so. From what it's really hard to see how other people see you, but from me, I've always been energetic and bubbly and things. I think I dealt with the more challenging times, and living in a home where it sometimes wasn't, where you felt vulnerable or maybe unsafe sometimes. I went to my room a lot and studied. I loved studying. I loved it. And that was a real... I don't know, now I'm thinking about it, it could have been seen as an escape, or it could be something I just love to do anyway, or a combination of the two. And I think that was a real blessing in a way, because I could do well at school and focus on something, and you could either see it as something to focus on or a distraction, whatever, but I loved it, and I really loved studying. To the point great. I had some teachers and my mum saying, hey, have some time, sometimes
stop studying.
They're like, hey, you should study more, do this. I was the opposite, like, you should have some time off.
That's really interesting. But that's good. I think if you've got the thirst for it, and that's what you want to be doing, and you just want to learn more, and you don't find it stressful, I think what I see a lot of at the moment is young girls finding school stressful. I think maybe because there's more pressure on schools and teachers and the funding, that there becomes more of a pressure on girls today, and the marks that they have to get if it's a bit different to when we were at school over 10 years ago. It's like 15
and even
years
the
ago.
Generation before us, it's just kind of getting more and more pressure, and I couldn't disagree with it more. I think it's such a terrible system, the way it's set up, and something I've been thinking about with schools a lot is how there's, first of all, you're often your weaknesses are highlighted. So you, instead of going, oh hey, you're really good at this, let's help you excel, it's like, okay, well, these are the things you're doing badly in. And really, ultimately, once you leave school, as long as you can cope and get by, don't get me wrong, you need to have a basic understanding of things. But really, you don't need to be constantly brilliant at everything. It's just unrealistic. And when you're in a job, if you're an accountant in a organisation, you're not expected to know how to deal with legal things or employ people. That's someone else's job. So actually, if you're really good at maths and finance, then focus on that and excel at that. And yes, definitely try and better yourself and try and improve other things, but to not think that that's a negative thing. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and to really be more accepting of that instead of almost criticised for it, which I think is how we've set things up in school.
I think you're right. I think there should be more positivity about the positives and less negativity about the negatives, because if you get school reports and they'll say so and so is good at this, but X, Y and Z, they could be better, or they're struggling, or this and that, then I can definitely see
and about each other, like as friends as well, about having the same view with your friends. So
yes,
being more supportive and positive. And I know in our charity Indigo, we are a really supportive team, and it's so important. And I've learnt a lot from the girls I'm working with. I've always tried to be supportive to other people, but now I've taken it to a new level. And I'll give you an example. Like last year, there was a lady crossing the road. I don't know how old she was, in her 50s or something, and she had this tight leopard print clothing on and high heels, and she couldn't really walk in them. And I didn't think anything other than for a split second thinking, oh, that doesn't really suit her, or something. Like it was a passing thought. I didn't think about it. And then the two girls, Elsie and Tass, who work with Indigo, they were going, yes, Queen, go you, yes, and like completely supporting her. And I was like, yeah, why did I think that didn't suit her? I should be supporting her. We should be lifting each other up. And anything that anyone's doing, you should just be like, yes, do it, go.
You know, do you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's such an important way to be with each other that we're definitely lacking. And
yeah, absolutely.
That was my big light bulb
moment.
Yeah.
So you've talked a little bit about now and learning from people and wanting to be more supportive or extra supportive. How were friendships for you growing up and at school? Have you always had a good group of friends, both girls and boys, or did you find any of that difficult at all?
Oh, so difficult. I had such a terrible time with friends at school. I remember going to uni and really not having any friends, like thinking, okay, I'm starting afresh. And my friendship group now all starts from uni onwards. When I was at secondary school, I had one friend, literally one friend, who I also grew from an age of around 14, grew quite distant from.
Okay.
So then I really had no friends. I didn't hang out with people outside of school. It just didn't happen. Obviously, I had people in my class, and I'm trying to think. I must have got invited to a couple of parties. I can't really recall anything right now, but I definitely wasn't.
You just had acquaintances, I guess.
Exactly. It's much more acquaintances than friends. Like I never spoke to anyone and told them my thoughts or secrets or fears or anything like that. I didn't have that.
Okay.
And I really, when I say I studied a lot, I mean like even on breaks and stuff, I would sometimes just go and work, or sometimes I would, when I was younger, I'd play more sports with everyone. But then when you got older, that happened less and less. So really, I had a terrible time with friendships. But it didn't bother me. I just remember thinking, okay, I could hang out with people I don't want to hang out with, or not. And I felt really strongly about not doing that.
I think that's great to have that confidence or strength to already know what's good for you or not in terms of friendship groups. If people aren't right for you, or they're going to have a negative impact, then just stay focused on what makes you happy.
Yeah. And I spent a lot of time with my mum's friends, and so I had a lot of support. I had my auntie and my grandma and my mum and sister and but all older people. And so it's strange when I look back. I really don't remember pining for. I just remember thinking, I know it'll work out. It's just not my time right now. And I think that's so much better than filling yourself with either poisonous friendships, which are obviously wrong, or someone phrased it like low vibration negativity.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily clearly bad, but it's continuously a bit dragging you down, a little bit.
And it niggles at you, and
So and it wasn't until I then went to college in Colchester, and that was specifically just for sixth form. It had like 2,000 sixth formers in it.
Yeah.
And again, I kind of did a similar thing where I don't know whether I again didn't really go to parties, didn't hang out, didn't go and get drunk and anything like that. And I did all that when I started going to uni, but like before then, just a bit strangely an antisocial person, I suppose. But for someone that's really sociable, like I love it. I love socializing with people, but I just couldn't find my place.
I think with friendships, especially when you're at school, it changes so much. You can be friends with one person one day and then something's happened and you don't know why.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're not talking to you and you just think, well, what the hell happened? What did I do?
Yeah.
And maybe in a way it's quite good for you to have not had that or be impacted by that kind of behaviour, because you're self-assured in yourself and you're just doing your own thing, and you were quite happy with that. I think that's great.
And I don't feel like, other than bullying definitely happened in the sense of me handing in my homework every time, when there were many times people didn't. So if a teacher said who's done their homework and there's 3 people that have done it out of 30 and I was always in the 3, so that kind of was a bit that definitely happened, where people made fun. But also, I don't know, I just thought, I just had this inner belief that it'll be okay in the end. I don't know why or
that's
how.
Great.
It will be okay.
I think there needs to be more of that, just knowing that it will be okay, it will work out fine.
Having that inner
faith.
It always works. Things always work out, and it doesn't matter. It will get there. You will always find a way, because humans, that's what we do. We always find a way, and I think you're right. These situations that people can get themselves in, like the conversations, especially between girls, teenage girls, you just don't want to get involved in it. What a waste of time.
Yeah, all the bickering and slagging each other off.
Yeah. There's so many better ways to spend your time than doing that.
And I guess also with social media, this is something that I wanted to come on to with you, because I know when we chatted a bit before this, I think it was something that you kind of feel quite strongly about. I think that must just create so many more complexities with how you feel about yourself, and also how people behave with one another.
And how you present yourself. So how you feel about yourself, how you then present yourself, and then how you live up to that image, and it's created like another dimension of complexity. And I mean, I don't know if you have any of those photos. It's funny you said that when we met doing that catwalk, but it's really funny because I've only got 5 photos or something from that night. But every single one, obviously everyone's like posing like a model. It's a catwalk. And I have my thumbs up and I'm doing this big grin, because I also don't really like the whole, if you're not feeling moody, don't then be moody. If you are feeling moody, then great. But most people, I don't think, are, and that comes across in the photo that it's fake, I think. I've always found it baffling that, especially the majority of adverts, people aren't like, it's definitely, I think it's got a bit better where people are smiling a bit more, but still, predominantly, it's people that are looking very moody into a camera, or have fun. Surely you just want to have people to have fun and then sell that. I've never understood it. And found it really fascinating. And I think the thing that bugs me most, the worst thing people do is, especially like teenage girls, is pouting. Where did that come from? Like, why is that an attractive thing? And question it. Instead of thinking, oh, that's the norm and everyone does it, take a step back and go, actually, it looks a bit strange, and I'm not sure I even look better doing that. And smiling, if that's how you feel, or doing an image that is actually how you're feeling, then automatically cameras out, pout out.
Or trying to portray something that's just in with whatever is the in thing. Yeah,
exactly. And I find that a really difficult thing to manage. And then also thinking, okay, if I'm portraying this image and having to live up to it. I was having this conversation with my sister the other day. She knows someone that has like a has an app that makes you more youthful with every photo, and I think she uses it a bit like as a joke. But then if people meet you, they'll be like, oh, you look terrible in real life. I think
you're a lot older.
You should manage those expectations. And try and do as little meddling with photos as possible. And also absolutely no meddling with your face. Like, when you're a teenager, you do not need to touch your face at all. And I think I would love to have that feeling throughout life, but I'm 32 and I don't know how I will feel when I get older. So I don't want to be at all judgmental, because unless you're there, you don't know. But as a teenager, God, like, you don't need to change anything about your face. I think and the rate of which it's happening is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it is quite scary.
It's like an epidemic. It is. It's like a bit scary how much it is. And just also thinking, well, you know, if you want to attract friends or a partner or whatever it is, do you want someone that wants lip fillers? That loves lip fillers? Probably not, because then that makes them probably a bit superficial. And you want someone that doesn't care about that stuff. Yeah. And if you are surrounded by people like that, like how I felt, not the whole lip filler thing, but surrounded by people that you think, okay, I'm not quite connecting here, just wait and it will happen. You will put yourself in an environment where you are connecting, or put the effort into putting yourself in that environment. But definitely this whole social media is, and also then when you're looking at other people online, that then obviously creates a lot of problems with people, because they think, oh gosh, look, they're on this beach, or they're doing this and they're so happy, or they look so great. And in reality, I mean, everyone says how many insecurities they have and so on. And I think, Camilla Thurlow, who's on our board of trustees and a friend, and was in Love Island the year before last, she is amazing because she expresses that when she has struggles, she does say it on social media or on TV or whatever it is, and she's not hiding behind this image. She is saying, sometimes I also struggle. And I think that's a really vulnerable place to put yourself, but so important, especially for teenage girls, to know that even someone like her is struggling. Aren't we all? Isn't everyone? And if you ever look at a photo and think, oh, that person has it perfect, absolutely never accurate. Like, that's not true. I would hope for girls to not feel like that, to feel comfortable with who they are and what they have, and to be like, oh great, I'm glad they're having a good time, and that's the only thought. It doesn't bring negativity upon them when they look at these images.
And I guess as we're on the topic of talking about teenagers today, when you're out on the field, I know you're going back in a few days' time, do you work with or see a lot of young girls? Is there a huge contrast between how they behave or how they're feeling?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, so generally speaking, I think girls really are girls. They don't grow up as quickly. So, for example, if they're 12, they're generally still seen as children, and they're not trying to put makeup on and do X, Y, or Z. But then there does seem to be a very quick transition overnight. So they're a child, and then it is kind of like, oh, woman, and then you're married with children in many cultures. Yeah. So it's almost like there's not this teenage transition. And I think the word teenager doesn't exist in some languages. I'm pretty sure it's not a thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I suppose it's nice in one way because you get to see children being children for longer.
Yes. Yeah.
But then they also have to grow up very quickly. And I'm really generalising here, but that's what I see in a lot of places. Also, I think an important thing is that they're much more, again, I'm really generalising, but family orientated. So their families are so important to them, and they have a place in the family, and they're a family unit. And I think that's also something that we're kind of missing in our culture a bit, where there's a lack of sense of community. And I think when I was younger, I didn't really understand what that meant. It's only when I've grown up and seen how important it is to have your place in a family and in a community, and the mental benefit, health benefits for that then when I see families sticking together in refugee camps or in poverty in East Africa or wherever it is I go, it's the glue. It keeps people going, keeps people together, and I think that's also a key difference between. There's a lack of family unit and community-ness.
To support them during that phase, or keeping everyone together and kind of in it together. Yeah. Was there any other bits that you were wanting to touch on?
Oh, well, I know that I felt really lucky that I didn't struggle too much growing up in terms of I know there's lots of mental health challenges out there and people struggling with eating and so on and so on. But so I was really fortunate to not experience any of that growing up, but I was a very, very fussy eater.
Okay.
A very, very, very fussy eater. Like I ate almost, not the volume, but the variety was really, really limited.
Okay.
So if anyone else is having the same issues of, gosh, I really just don't like vegetables, or I don't like the taste of this and this, you can overcome it. And it's taken me quite some years. And actually, I think I was 30 when I had my real, now I can eat almost anything now.
Okay.
And back to normal,
Yeah.
I suppose. But it took years to, I'll just try this and I'll just try this. And you can get through it, and it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Just to give hope that it's not going to be like that forever if people feel like that.
And was that with particular foods, and was it to do with like the taste or the texture?
Yeah, it was taste. Texture wasn't too bothered. Doesn't bother me too much. It really is the flavours. I think I just had, I don't know, a dodgy tongue that just couldn't handle anything. That just really just. And even now, I struggle more with healthy food. Like I really struggle with fruit and vegetables.
Okay.
I ate almost none until I was my late teens. I really didn't eat much, and then I started to eat them, and then I could cover it in sauce and eat it, and so on and so on. But it's just got better and better. And now when I'm away, I crave broccoli so much. I need it. I'm like fantasizing about broccoli when I come home and having a roast dinner. Yes, but even now, I will always go for the more unhealthier option than the healthier. But I have to put an effort into thinking, well, you've only got one body. You need to really look after it.
Yeah. And
I do try.
Yeah.
And be healthier. But it is a little bit of an effort. Not too much, but definitely. It's really interesting. And my mum, she was obviously she had the foster children, and then we had students and lodgers living with us to try and make ends meet. And she had a full-time job as well. So I mean, it was just an absolutely crazy household. And I don't think there was that time that could be spent that was probably needed, but it would have taken a lot of time and effort to try and help train me with these things. We were just trying to get by, I suppose, day to day. My mum was just such a great job, but it was just one of those things that kind of went a bit. And also, I think she definitely tried, and I was like a bit defiant, a bit stubborn, like no, I don't like it. But it probably needed even more input than that, But all's well that ends well.
Yeah, and everyone's taste buds are different.
Exactly. And there's a thing I've heard that they change every 7 years or something. Where I don't know if I've made that up, but I feel like that's what happened.
Well, aren't we supposed to go through 7-year cycles anyway?
Exactly. So maybe it's part of the 7-year cycle.
But you love broccoli. Exactly.
And then you'll have an obsession with it. And then I suppose the only other thing I wanted to touch on that I thought was an important thing that you were speaking about, I can't remember if it was before we were recording or not, about success.
Yes.
And how we define success. And I really think that we need to all, again, take a step back and recalibrate what is success. So a lot of people will think it's related to money.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely, I think it's not related to money at all. It's related to happiness. And if you're happy and content, then you're successful at what you're doing. If you've got a job in a bank and you're on $500,000 a year, but you're not happy, well, that's not successful to me. So I think it's in our culture to link the word success with money, and just to be like, actually, let me think about that. Let me challenge that. And actually being happy is what's important. So just, I suppose, my words of advice would be with my words of wisdom would be just to think about what makes you happy and what path do you want to go down, and thinking about that not being influenced by money.
Okay, well, to lighten the tone a little bit, I've got a quick fire, and I'm now realising that I haven't made a list. So it is going to be a quick fire off the top of my head. So I think some of the things that I sent over to you to just give you an idea of what I would ask. So who was your teen crush?
I think the only person I've ever admired that's a celebrity is Leonardo DiCaprio. I just love him.
He was a dreamboat in Titanic.
Oh yeah, and I'm obsessed with Titanic. It's my favourite film. And I don't remember really. I'm sure I must have loved other people. I can't remember. Leonardo DiCaprio is the only one where I'm like, okay, he's great in so many ways.
Okay, love it. I like that. And what about first kiss?
Oh, I think I was really young. Oh, don't even know. Like probably primary school or something, like 10 or something.
Wow.
That's young.
That is young.
Gross. Totally gross. Also with a gross guy.
I think everyone has a gross experience
in a
first
school
time round.
disco, something like that. It was terrible. I don't know.
Love it. Okay, I'm going to go there. Periods. Or period.
I think, when I started,
Yeah.
I think I was 13.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty standard.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything special about it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I was at school and I was like, oh God, and then I was like, oh no, it's my period, oh dear. And then it was the end of the day and I walked home, I was like, okay, well, it's
that's
done
fine.
now.
That's
great. And I've been really lucky to not have any issues with it. I know people really struggle with it sometimes, so I've been really lucky to avoid that so far.
And just to round off, I have two final questions. So I wanted to ask you, looking back and reflecting on your experience, what would you advise your younger self, if anything at all?
Ooh, I don't know whether I would have told myself to make more of an effort with people. I don't know. It's hard because I don't know where I would have gone. Maybe thinking further afield, like getting more into other sports or something instead of studying as much. So keeping a balance. Yeah. Maybe, but. I don't know, I don't feel that strongly about it.
Okay.
I might have, I'll call my mum later and give her
something will come to you.
Yeah. She might be able to give some good advice on it.
And if you could gift teenage girls all over the world with anything, what would that be?
I would say the thing that would make most sense at the moment is just confidence in yourself. And I don't mean confidence as in boisterous and being loud or anything like that. That's not what I mean, but with yourself. That yes, of course we all have niggles. Like you want X of your body to change or Y of your body to change. But really, how I think of it is, if I ever have a niggle with something, I'm like, okay, I don't like this about my arms or my legs or whatever. I'm like, oh, but I've got arms and legs. Okay. Yeah. And I literally then put it to the side. I'm like, okay, well, I've got arms and legs, so thank you, and I'll carry on. So trying to, I suppose, if you have that confidence in yourself, then I really hope that girls would feel that and then not worry. You waste so much time worrying. Yeah. And also, I would say, aim to create a life where you don't have time to care about social media. That would be a great goal for everyone. Yeah. Where you're on it, but if you post something, not to think, oh my God, I have to get over 40 likes to feel validated, and no, don't care. Just put it on if you want, and just think, okay, if this gets 1 like, I'm going to be happy with this. I don't really care. I'm not going to check it every minute. That's just going to leave it out there. And having a life where you're distracted from social media, where that's not taking over, basically, where you don't have time to care about it. Yeah, I love both of those. Fantastic. Thank you. It's great. Okay, well, thank you, Holly, so much. It's been amazing speaking to you today. Thank you for having me. It's been great. Thanks for listening to Becoming Women with me, Ella Sims. If you'd like to know more about Holly and her team at Indigo Volunteers, head to indigovolunteers.org. If you've enjoyed today's episode and want to know more, check out becomingwomen.com or follow me on Twitter or Instagram. I would love it if you could take the time to rate and review this podcast on iTunes, or please send me any feedback or comments you may have on today's episode. I'd really love to hear from you.